No sound this end.
Hello there.
Hey, Mandy.
Rob, if you'd now like to load your webinar content, we will make a start. Hello everyone, welcome to the third in our series of the Marine Tech webinars. My name is Chelsea and I work for Plymouth City Council. I'll be your host for this event. Just a reminder that during this webinar you will only hear myself and other presenters speak. We will not be able to see or hear any delegates. After the presentation we will hold a Q&A session. Please use the Q&A chat bar to ask any questions throughout the presentation. If you see any questions you would also be interested in hearing answers to, give it a like and this will send it to the top of the pile. Just a reminder, this webinar is being recorded with the intention to be available to others on demand. Enjoy, and I will now hand you over to our Director of the Marine Business Technology Centre, Rob Watson.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chelsea. For those that don't know me, I'm Rob Watson, the Director for the Marine Business Technology Centre. I've been part of the project since mid-2018, and we are running the project through until August of 2021. Prior to coming to Plymouth, I was Head of Business Growth for Hampshire County Council, where I was responsible for a number of large inward investment projects. Most notable being Gulfstream's Rest of the World maintenance, repair and overhaul facility, which is being built at Farnborough, and the America's Cup base that's based in Portsmouth. So that's me. My colleague Mandy Bowden is also going to be chipping in here. So she is the lead KEO for the project. So KEO is Knowledge Exchange Officer, and she's responsible for the grant program that we're going to be presenting today. Chelsea, do you want to put the presentation up, please? Is it up, Chelsea?
Yep, all ready to go.
Okay, fantastic. So today we're going to be talking about an opportunity for eligible businesses to bid into our grant program. But before we get started, I'm conscious that there are probably a number of people on the call that aren't aware of the Marine Business Technology Centre. So I just wanted to cover quickly what that program is all about. Apologies for the slight glitch there. So a quick overview. The MBTC is an ERDF funded project that's based at the Oceansgate Marine Enterprise Zone in Devonport. It's led by Plymouth City Council, and it's really there to provide support for Devon-based SMEs primarily to develop the next generation of marine technology. Central to the offer is Smart Sound Plymouth, which is a 1,000 square kilometre testing and proving ground based in and around Plymouth Sound. Again, this is free to use for eligible businesses and also contains capital equipment that has been purchased as part of this programme to the tune of £1 million. That includes an unmanned surface vessel run by the University of Plymouth, and enhancements to the Western Channel Observatory, which is run by Plymouth Marine Laboratory. In addition, we're looking at additional funding now to increase the connectivity of Smart Sound. We're expecting an announcement very soon on this, which will mesh all of the elements that are part of Smart Sound Plymouth and also roll out 5G connectivity up to 12 miles offshore. The other element of the MBTC are our research partners, which are the Marine Biological Association, Plymouth Marine Laboratory, and the Universities of Exeter and Plymouth. This is really what gives us the research horsepower to help businesses to develop the next generation of technology. So that's a quick snapshot of the MBTC. The central subject of today's presentation is our grant programme. As part of the funding that we received, we've got £120,000 worth of total fund available to support Devon-based SMEs to take the next step towards marine innovation that they're looking to develop. This is really there to provide consultancy engagement to assist an overall innovation project. The programme is looking to provide 75% of overall costs for consultancy that supports that type of technology development, and the average grant value that we're looking at here is around £2,500. Given the nature of the programme, what we have been able to do is to minimise the paperwork. So essentially the application for this is very, very easy. It's a 2-page form. And the KEO team, which is led by Mandy, is there to support any business that is looking to develop a bid. So it's not a question of bidding in blind, it's engaging with the MBTC to help you build your bid, which then goes forward for approval by the KEO board. This essentially contains an operational needs analysis. So it's a consultation with you as a business to understand what you're trying to achieve in the overall project and to look at where, over and above grant funding, the MBTC can support. So with regards to the application, I said it was the 2-pager. The real critical content is on the page there. The second page is purely to do with signatures. So you can see that the form itself is very, very simple. It's just providing the company details. It's talking about your overall project, which obviously you'll be discussing with an MBTC officer, and what sort of consultancy you're looking for. Essentially, you would need to look at 3 quotes as far as this is concerned, but who you actually appoint ultimately is up to you. Ultimately, what we're looking for is what is the impact it's going to have on your business and how it's actually going to support the overall innovative project that you're looking to develop. So as far as the process is concerned, the first stage is to engage with us at the MBTC, and I'll give you the contact details later, to complete the operational needs analysis. We're then looking to complete the application form with you. Once that has been approved via the KEO board, you then appoint the consultant to do the work that you've actually engaged them to do. Once the work has been completed and the consultant has been paid, the grant can then be claimed from MBTC. There are various bits of evidence that we would need. but these are what you would normally expect anyway. Has the work been completed to the right sort of level? Has the consultant been paid? Has it supported the innovation project that you're looking to develop? The normal turnaround time for payment is 2 weeks. We've done a couple of grants already, and they've in fact been processed quicker than that. So it's not a case of waiting for us to be paid for you to be paid. It happens pretty much immediately. Just wanted to give some examples of consultancy that would be eligible. As I said, this is all about supporting an overall innovation project. So what you could look to do is to develop a business plan and engaging a consultant to do that. We have had queries about looking at funding applications to other grant programs. That again is eligible. So if a bid needs to be written, certainly we can support that. The overall sort of marketing and website strategy. So if there's an update to a website that's going to support the overall innovation program, that's eligible, as well as developing a marketing plan. We have had queries about building business cases. Again, this is to support funding applications. If businesses are looking to get into the defence sector, one of the fundamental issues is having Cyber Essentials certification. We're developing a program at the moment with one of our other partners to produce a cut down program that achieves that certification for SMEs, which comes in under the threshold for the grant program. Legal support. Again, sometimes a challenge for SMEs, and this is particularly important when we're talking about innovation and the whole issue of IP. Overall certification and testing. This is over and above Smart Sound Plymouth. It's about getting official sign-off for technology so it can be produced. And the final point there is market analysis. So if you're looking at an innovation that you want to discover what the market opportunity is for it, that's certainly something we can look at as well. With regard to eligibility, it's actually very simple. So the sole criteria for a business bidding into this is that you need to be a Devon-based SME. The critical thing here, though, is the project that the consultancy is looking to support. So it needs to be innovative. It needs to be marine focused. Preferably, it should be collaborative. Obviously, it needs to be sustainable, so this isn't a one-off thing. And there needs to be economic impact in the Devon area. So if you have a project that fits those elements, then please get in touch, because the money is there to be spent. With regards to assessments, I mentioned earlier that there is a KEO panel. This is made up of the knowledge exchange officers from the partners of the programme. So any application that comes forward will be discussed and assessed by these partners. Essentially, a majority needs to approve this. But I'll get onto the time frame in a second, but essentially we are looking at one panel to assess all of the bids that we receive. With regard to how the assessment is actually undertaken, I've mentioned some of these elements already. Top of the list is innovation. At the end of the day, the MBTC is an innovation project. So it is about developing the next generation of products in the marine environment. So we weight this quite heavily as to how innovative the project overall is. The second element is how deliverable the project is. So this is in two areas. It's the overall deliverability of the project overall, but it's also the work that the grant is supporting can be delivered within our project timelines. So the project, as I mentioned earlier, is set to run until August 2021. But with regard to this grant program, we're looking to get the projects delivered by the end of this calendar year. Sustainability. So as I mentioned earlier, this is making sure that the project isn't a one-off. and that there will be future business impacts and economic impacts with the project as it goes forward. We do assess the value for money of the consultancy asked for. So is it delivering something that's worthwhile for the project and for the business? And we do need to look at the strategic fit with the MBTC aims. So as I mentioned up front, it is an innovation program. We are looking at economic impact with regard to Devon and the wider area. And we're looking at the long-term business gains and economic gains that this project will actually support. And finally, there's the overall KEO support. So we have 5 partners involved with this project. It needs majority support in order for the bid to be approved. With regard to the programme, I mentioned that we're looking at one assessment panel. So we are opening the grant call today. The details are on the website. And I'll be giving you the contact details at the end of this presentation as well. We're looking for the call to close on the 14th of August, with the assessment panel convening on the 20th of August. We would expect to have offer letters and the results of that panel issued by the 28th of August. And we're looking for projects to run September to November. So it's quite a tight timeline. But the real point here is to support projects that are ready to go, that need a stepping stone funding call just to help them along their way. So if you can bear that in mind and get in touch as soon as possible, then we can start processing any bids that need to be submitted. Couple of case studies. I mentioned earlier that we've issued some grants already. There's been a couple that are already running. The first one is Frontier Technical. So this is a very interesting project that we've been supporting for over a year now. And this is to develop a modular offshore floating platform. The idea of this platform is that it can be used for a number of different purposes, but it is modular and it actually deploys autonomously. The initial focus for this project is offshore wind power, so it's floating offshore wind. This could be for remote locations, it could be disaster relief, or it could be the third world. With regard to the grant that we actually issued to Frontier Technical, this took the form of 3 elements. So it was professional marine business consultancy to build a business plan. And this was to develop a document that could be used to gain additional funding. Commercial lawyer. So this was looking at the documentation for a consortium that Frontier were looking to build. It also touched on the whole area of IP and protection as far as that's concerned. And the final point was around support to design the actual system and how it operates. So this included elements to do with the power, how the various elements operated together, and how the platform will actually be deployed. What's happened off the back of this support is some additional funding has been secured from Innovate, and also additional grant funding from sister projects, Marine Eye in Cornwall and Impact Lab up in Exeter. So the reason that we wanted to present this particular case study is that the MBTC grant actually potentially produces more support than just the grant that you gain from the MBTC. So it can be used for additional funding, and it does help the arguments with that. So that's something to bear in mind. The second case study that I wanted to touch on was Oceanic Subsea exploration. Again, a very interesting project that has the scope to be a real game changer as far as the industry is concerned. The project is all around seabed and coral mounts mineral exploitation. The focus primarily is on cobalt extraction. As most people may know, cobalt is the fundamental mineral and product that's needed for the next generation of batteries. At this stage, the biggest market that actually develops cobalt is the Democratic Republic of Congo. That obviously has issues as far as that's concerned. So having the ability to extract cobalt from the seabed or coral mounts is clearly an excellent thing to be looking at. The other element here is to do with minerals needed for solar panels. Again, these are prevalent on the seabed and on coral mounts around the world. The key thing here, though, is that it is environmentally friendly. So there are a number of technologies that have been developed as part of this program that will ensure that there's no damage to the ocean environment. With regard to the grant that was issued, this was again to develop a comprehensive business plan for further investment. It also looked at market analysis for mineral usage. So what is the market for the elements that are being extracted? And it provided a breakdown of investment of the investment program that was needed to further develop this opportunity. So that plan has now been delivered. It's being used to bid into further funding streams at central government level and local level. So again, a very good example of what a grant could be used for. I mentioned earlier that there is a need to engage with the MBTC around this program. We're looking to support businesses as far as we can. In partnership with Oceansgate and Maritime UK South West, there are a number of other webinars that are coming down the line, but the key one I wanted to focus on here is the Innovation Grant Week, which is being staged next week, the week of the 6th of July. I'll give some more details in a second on that, and maybe ask Mandy to add some detail to it. Going on throughout the rest of the year up until the end of September are a number of other webinars that are either being run by the MBTC or our partners or Oceansgate or various other bodies. So on the 16th of July, we have the Plymouth City College webinar, which is focusing around skills in the marine sector. Plymouth Marine Laboratory are hosting a webinar on the 29th of July to cover the work that they do. I mentioned the capital equipment that's part of Smart Sound earlier in the presentation. Central to that is the unmanned surface vessel Cetus, which is run by the University of Plymouth. There'll be a dedicated webinar for that on the 12th of August if that equipment is relevant to businesses that want to test and prove technology on their platform. 26th of August is all around autonomy in Plymouth. This is a nationally recognised centre for marine autonomy, and this will be presented by a local business and Subs. 9th of September is the Maritime UK South West presentation. This is a relatively new offshoot of Maritime UK that is focused on the Southwest cluster. So they will be presenting their work and their focus areas on that on the 9th of September. 16th of September is the Mayflower autonomous ship. This is a project that's been developed in Plymouth and is actually due to depart Plymouth on the 16th of September, excuse me, which is the 400th anniversary of the sailing of the Mayflower. This is a fully autonomous vessel that will be replicating that journey. It's a research platform, and there are a number of interesting technologies that are going to be developed as part of that platform. And finally, on the 23rd of September is the Marine Biological Association that are going to be presenting some case studies around the work that they are doing around the ocean. So moving on to the Innovation Grant Week, Mandy, are you able to give us some more detail around this?
Yes, certainly. We have a number of consultants who are going to present the sort of work that could be covered with a grant. So we've got 5 sessions next week, where at each one, 2 different consultants will talk about what the benefits to your business can be of working with a consultant, and then specifically what that consultancy could offer your business that would be eligible for a grant. So we've got Fastnet Marine Marketing talking about how to build a winning marketing strategy to get your business back on track. We've got a digital product service design company talking to the webinar about what they can offer as a support for your digital services. We've got a IT company talking about the cybersecurity and how you can strengthen your presence moving into the marine defence industry. We have a consultant talking about getting yourself grant ready, so preparing your business case for an application to a secondary grant fund. We have a Saline Marine talking about how they can support your business with market research and networking. And we also have another organisation talking about if you've got your grant, now what do you do? So the steps to take you forward in a project delivery perspective, and then more businesses looking at, say, business resilience, R&D tax credits, using your data to support your innovation. So those are the rough subject areas that will be presented, and I will send out the Eventbrite invite to all the attendees at today's webinar.
Thank you, Mandy. So the next steps. First of all, we need an expression of interest. That can be done via myself and Mandy. So there are our contact details there. So this will be shared with the attendees and part of this presentation. We would suggest that registering for the Innovation Grant Week would be beneficial. It's not conditional on the grants, but as Mandy outlined there, there's probably some useful information as to where the money could be used. We need to complete an operational needs analysis. That's done in partnership with one of our KEOs. And you need to submit the 2-page application by the 14th of August, so it can be assessed the following week by the KEO panel. So very, very simple process. The 2-page application is very easy to complete, but I would recommend that speaking with one of us or a member of the MBTC team prior to doing that would be beneficial. So that's the end of the presentation. Have we got any questions, Chelsea?
Yes, throughout the presentation, people have been posting various questions, so we've got a few ready to go. The first question is there a limit to total grant I can apply for? i.e., I have an R&D consultant project that may cost my business £10,000. Would the MBTC be able to accept such a level and give us 7,500 and we match 2,500?
Can I answer that one, Rob?
You can, absolutely, Mandy.
Okay.
It's your programme.
Okay, super. In principle, yes. We haven't actually set a limit to the amount that you can apply for. So in principle, a £10,000 consultancy activity that supports your marine business in their innovation activity could be a successful bid to our pot of funding. What we will be doing is looking at all the applications together to assess how far we can help all businesses that actually apply. I would imagine that we'll get some small applications for £2,000 and we might get some larger ones along this level of £10,000. So anything is possible.
Okay, thank you for that. The next question is, would a project that searches market for IP qualify?
I can answer that one as well. Again, yes, that would be very much dependent on that it is supporting your innovation activity as a business, which I would say IP searches would, without going into huge amount of detail with you, but the initial response is that yes, that sounds very much like the sort of activity we would want to be supporting. So that would be getting a consultant to do that search, maybe a specialist consultant in a particular area to do the IP search for you, and present the results back to you. And that is exactly the sort of activity that we would want to be supporting.
Okay, that's great. Next question. How many applications do you anticipate receiving, and what do you think the award rate will be?
Well, that is a very interesting question. I would love to have lots of applications from businesses and be able to help everyone with what they need. I can't answer how many we are anticipating. I would like to get something like 40 applications coming through, hence an average of £2,500, so that we can issue all the funds to businesses. But that is an average, as if we do get a 10,000 application or a couple of 10,000 applications, we may need to look at revising things to try and help as many businesses as possible. And
to be fair, Mandy, I think that's what the KO panel is all about. It's about assessing all of the bids that come in together, so we can actually sort of discuss that.
And as per the award rate, because you will be working with a KEO from the project to undertake your needs analysis, I would expect every application that comes through to be already sifted and made sure that they are eligible for support. So it will, if we are inundated, it will be a question of selecting those that are scored most highly. But I would like to be able to support all businesses with those applications that are brought forward, because they are good, well vetted applications, rather than wasting anybody's time with putting an application in for the wrong type of funding for you.
Okay, at the moment we've got 2 more questions to go. If anyone does have any questions, please feel free to carry on posting them and we will answer them. So the next question is, can a consultant outside Devon be used?
Yes, certainly. The beneficiary business needs to be within Devon, an SME, and working or aiming to work with the marine sector. But you can engage as consultant either in Devon, keep it in-house, or outside. And indeed, a couple of the consultants that will be presenting in next week's seminar series are from outside Devon. And we have already allocated grants to businesses that are using consultants outside of Devon.
Okay, next question. I see 3 product verifications needed. Is that 3 different applications, or do they come under one, as they will run at the same time?
I think that's probably on the application form, where we had, for example, Frontier Technology had 3 different elements to the project that they put forward that they wanted supporting. So there was some specialist legal advice, there was some business planning advice, and also some